All right, welcoming you guys to One Piece, chapter 1115, full spoilers. My name is Sai, and today we are here to talk about two main topics. One being the Gorosei, and two being Reaction Piece, because Reaction Piece is in full swing yet again. Who have we not actually met? Right? Like, in the past 5 chapters of One Piece, Oda has quite literally taken us around the world. So yeah, before we get there though, let's talk a little bit about the Gorosei, because like I said, every week, my opinion on the Gorosei changes. One week, I'm feeling great about these dudes, right? I'm like, yo, the retirement boys are at it again. And then another week, I'm like, the retirement home's on fire. You know, like, it's one or another with the Gorosei. And this week is no different, man, because this week, they look good. You know, apparently, we got Marcus Mars with confirmed Conqueror's Haki. Brother. You know, like, hey, I was always on the boat that these guys had Conqueror's Haki. When they first showed up, dude, we got Black Lightning out the wazoo. Of course, these guys had Conqueror's Haki, but it was never stated. We never saw anybody pass out until Wanokuni did his roar. And then we're like, okay, you know, the Black Lightning, you know, that could be the Conqueror's Haki. You know, we never know with One Piece, right? Oda can go either way. People are still debating to this very day if Kobe has Conqueror's Haki when he attacked Avala Pizarro. Personally, I think he did, but, you know, it's not confirmed, so it's whatever. But for Marcus Mars in this chapter, oh, brother, he is knocking out all those snails, which is kind of funny, right? Like, when you see Conqueror Haki showings, it's like, oh, no, like, there goes 50,000 fishmen on Fishman Island. Luffy's crazy. Oh my god, Shanks used Conqueror's Haki just passively, and then it knocked out all of Whitebeard's crew. And then there's Marcus Mars, who's knocking out a bunch of snails, which, you know, is not really comparable to the other feats of Conqueror's Haki we've seen, but hey, it's still really cool, and I love that they're finally using it. And I'm actually surprised they didn't use this earlier. I wonder if one of the Gorosei members could actually just unleash their Conqueror's Haki on the entirety of Egghead Island and just knock out every single snail. I feel like that would be the most effective way of using it. Maybe Wanokuni could do that since he has the crazy roar. But yeah, either way though, Marcus Mars having Conqueror's Haki is huge because it does make me believe even harder now that Nasujiro, Saturn, and even Jupiter all have Conqueror's Haki as well, because they were all also shown with Black Lightning, you know? So that is kind of where I'm at right now. Love to see it. Of course, will they have Conqueror's coding? Not too sure yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Like, they should be end-tier fighters. So, you know, I'd expect nothing less of them. Thankfully, though, for the Gorosei, this isn't the only good feat they had in this chapter, because Venus does something absurd. So we go to this chapter, it turns out Sanji's on the ground, Oimo and Kashi are still holding Venus down, but Venus ends up breaking out from the giants, and then he tries to cut Bonnie. He misses because I think Frankie saves her if I recall correctly, and then he's like, you know what? F Punk Records. So he looks upwards and he slices the sky, and it cuts the entire cloud in half. Brother just took down a Sky Island. I mean, of course, we don't know, like, what the cloud looks like afterwards. Since it is man-made, there's a good chance it's still there, but just, you know, divided. But either way, Venus cutting through the clouds and cutting Punk Records in half is crazy. Brother, this guy is on the Fabrio phase, right? Like, do you remember how high up the Labo phase is? We had a whole 5-minute segment in the anime. We had half a chapter dedicated to us going all the way up there. And you tell me Venus just, whoop, just cut it in half? Pretty crazy. I think that is a great look for Venus. And if anything, that's making me wonder, yo, if Venus can do this, how the hell was Oimo and Kashi holding this guy down for a little bit, right? And I say a little bit, but it was a chapter and a half. You know, Oimo and Kashi were holding this monster down for a good second. But yeah, Venus looking super solid here. And bro, not only did he cut that cloud in half, but in the process, I don't know how he did this. It must have been a divine miracle. Just good luck out the wazoo. But while he cut the cloud in half, he also ended up freeing the Cypher Pole agents and the Seraphim. Did he sense them? Is this some sort of crazy observation Haki cut? I have no clue, you know? It sounds like a happy accident, but yes, all of the Seraphim and Cypher Pole agents are now back in play. And they're not up on the Labo phase anymore, you know? They're not trapped in the Sky Island. They're not trapped by the security dome. No. These guys, apparently, they're falling down to the Fabrio phase. Brother, the Fabrio phase? You know, that's where Luffy is. That's where Dory, Brogy, the Giants are. You know, that's where Sanji, Frankie, and Bonnie are. It's like, yo, Of course, the Seraphim are no problem to Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei. But hell, dude, you throw these Seraphim in against the giant fodder, against Bonnie or against Frankie. I don't know, man. Like that might be pretty rough. The giant ship is already taking some damage in this chapter. So if the Seraphim unleash their powers on the giant ship, we could be cooked. But of course, we have to dial it back a little bit because there is a chance that Bonnie could control the Seraphim, because that is a heavily debated topic right now. Can Bonnie control the Seraphim? Personally, I don't think so. I think she can control the Kuma Seraphim, but as far as Hawk, as Snake, who else is there? S Shark, like as far as they go, I don't think she can control them. From what I understood about Bonnie's place in the hierarchy, she can only control Pacifista and everything modeled after her father. So I really don't think she can control the Seraphim, but if you guys have a different opinion on that, that is totally fine. Until we actually see it happen, it's kind of up in the air, right? But yeah, I don't think the Seraphim are going to be on our side, but we still need a Gorosei member to give them an order to find out for sure. Like, while Venus, freed them, he hasn't given them an order just yet. For all we know, the Seraphim could help the Gorosei when it comes to destroying Dendenmushis, right? Because while stopping the Straw Hats is huge, they also want to stop the broadcast. Because Marcus Mars, while he is knocking snails unconscious, he hasn't found the broadcast snail yet. York hasn't found it. Jupiter, we haven't even seen Jupiter in like 4 weeks. Where the hell is that worm? But like these guys have not found the snail. It's making me think that the snail's not even here, right? Like these guys are covering their bases, but the snail has not been located. So if I were them, I'd probably just use the Seraphim to help me look, honestly, dude. So yeah, with that being said though, I would love to hear what you guys think about the Seraphim. Do you think they will be a problem or a threat in the future? Or do you think Bonnie will have full control? Or do you think they're just not gonna fight the Straw Hats at all? I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions down below. And now for the Cypher Pole agents. I think these guys are on our side. Maybe I am just crazily optimistic, but the Cypher Pole agents were crying tears of joy when the Straw Hats saved them from York. They finally got food, they finally got water. They were calling the Straw Hats their damn near saviors. So I'm expecting the Cypher Pole agents to not actively pursue the Straw Hats. Maybe they do pursue them, but I am imagining they're gonna be like the Dressrosa citizens, where they're like, oh, Straw Hats, we're gonna kill ya. And then they're like walking towards them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're gonna be 110% committed to taking down Luffy, the man who saved them. So that's how I personally feel about them. Who knows? Maybe they even stop the Seraphim, which I don't know how they would, but hey, wishful thinking. But yeah, Cypher Pole agents are also freed, and now that wraps up the Gorosei segments of the chapter, because like I said, we don't get too much of them. And now it's time to cut over to reaction piece, because we get a lot of people showing up this week. I got a list right here. I concocted a mini list of who makes an appearance in order. And the first people we see is Wanokuni. We got Momonosuke, Kinemon, Shinobu, Otama, and they're kind of just chilling, hanging out. I don't really have too much to say about them, but if I did have to wrangle out some words, I would say it is cool that Momonosuke knows about Joy Boy, but we already knew that. Momonosuke has a lot of information about Joy Boy and possibly the Void Sentry that they just haven't told us yet. And same with Yamato, right? Odin's journal is a wealth of knowledge that we still haven't touched. Yes, Odin's journal is missing the last 1 or 2 pages, but everything leading up until that is like, yo, that's massive. And we still don't know what Momonosuke does or doesn't know. So I'm curious to see if Oda will expunge upon that, or if that's just gonna be left on the side until we ourselves find out as Robin's hunt for the Poneglyph progresses. All right, so now the next people we see are the fake Kid Pirates. Yep, you heard that correctly. The fake Kid Pirates, because Tomorrow Black and the gang are back. I doubt anybody's expecting the Tomorrow Black Pirates to come back with the Force later on, but it is cool seeing them cosplay the Kid Pirates. It makes me wonder what happened after we left Sabaody, right? Because last we saw, Tomorrow Black and the gang were captured by Sentomaru. So it's like, wait, did they break out of prison, or did they escape and then they cosplayed Kid and then they got captured again? Or were they never captured at Sabaody? I'm not super sure, but yeah, they were cosplaying the Straw Hats, they lost. Now they were cosplaying the Kid Pirates, and now they lost again. So I guess nothing really changed in that regard. What's kind of cool about this is that, in a way, this does parallel the Straw Hats to some extent. Because when the Straw Hats lost on Sabaody, before the time skip, we got the dialogue box, like, oh, the Straw Hat Pirates lost on this day, and then we get a time skip, and then boom, Damaro Black shows up, pretending to be the Straw Hats, and then enters the real Straw Hats. I wonder if it's going to be the same thing here, because Kid did get the same dialogue box that the Straw Hats got when he was defeated by Shanks. Like, oh, the Kid Pirates were defeated, and then boom, here we have Damaro Black and the gang cosplaying the Kid Pirates. Does this mean that the Kid Pirates will make an appearance soon? I don't know. You know, like, hey, don't ask me. I think they will, but I know people don't like the Kid Pirates at all. Like, they're kind of like the laughingstock of One Piece, sad to say. But hey, I do have high hopes for these guys, right? I expect Law and Kid to come back with the Force. Will they be competitors? I don't think so, but they are still strong characters at the end of the day. What's interesting about Damaro Black's dialogue here, though, is that when his crew asks him who is stronger between Captain Kidd and Joy Boy, Damaro Black says, oh, well, unlike Kid, Joy Boy is actually dead. So yeah, to me at least, it seems like Oda is poking fun at the people who think Kid is dead. You know, he's kind of like going into the meme a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure. Either way, though, I think we will see Kid in the near future, or at least learn what happened to him, because the Straw Hats are going to Elbaf, right? We're hopping on the giant ship. We're about to set sail. So when we get there, I'm sure somebody's going to say, by the way, that Kid fellow, you know, he's either sunk into the sea or he's now being tended at a hospital. So now, the next people we see in this chapter are the citizens of Zou. We got Carrot, we got Wanda, and we got Zunisha. And I'm kind of wondering how Zou is going now that Carrot is the new leader. You know, is she running the city into the ground, or is she actually a really competent leader? Has she matured a little bit? I don't know, but I guess we'll find out in this chapter, right? The next update we get in this chapter revolves around the Foxy Pirates, a gang of pirates we have not seen in over 700 chapters. Yo, Foxy and the boys are back. Or should I say Foxy, Hamburg, and Parsh? Oh, what was her name? Give me a second. I forgot her name all of a sudden. Porsche. It's Porsche. Okay. I was about to like type it in, but I was like, okay, no, it's Porsche. How could I forget the best Foxy pirate? Am I right, guys? But yeah, Foxy isn't doing too good. He's now got a mustache, a beard. He lost his ship. He lost all of his crew minus those two. And yeah, it looks like his luck has really ran dry. What's interesting, though, is that the dialogue we get around Foxy has to do with food. Right? Porsche's like, hey, Captain, I love ya, but also, I'm starving. And now that we're in this final saga, now that we know that Luffy's dream is to bring food to everybody, it does make me look at food lines a little bit differently. Of course, Foxy has always somewhat been a Straw Hat ally. I mean, even if you looked at the One Piece OVAs or the One Piece movies, whenever Foxy pops in, he's always like this weird character. He's kind of like Buggy, where he's an antagonist, but he also helps the Straw Hats whenever it benefits him. So it does make me wonder if one day Foxy will come back in and he will play a significant role when it comes to helping the Straw Hats. We do know that Oda loves this guy when it comes to OVAs and goofy segments, right? Foxy has made many appearances on the side outside of the canon story. So I am actually expecting a Foxy comeback at some point. And now the next person we see in this chapter is Koshiro, Zoro's dojo master. And just like every other time we've seen him, he doesn't really have too much to add here. He's just training kids, listening to the Denden Mushi, and saying nothing. I think Koshiro will be significant later down the road, but I'm not too sure how. I mean, we do know that he is of the Shimotsuki bloodline, so maybe we're gonna get a crazy Zoro flashback where he's like, hey, Zoro, the Shimotsuki, or, you know, like, hey, Zoro, you know, let's have another flashback about how to cut nothing, you know, like, I feel like he's gonna come back in that regard, but then again, he could come back with the revolutionaries, because we do know that during the ASL flashback, Dragon did visit Shimotsuki village, so maybe there is a tie-in there, because the next person we see in this chapter is the Revolutionary Army. We see Dragon, we see Sabo, and we see Ivankov. And they don't really add too much dialogue, but hey, they're here, and it's right after the Koshiro panel, so maybe there is going to be some connection there. As far as Sabo goes, rest in peace, the voice actor. I don't know what they're going to do about that one. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but the Sabo voice actor in Japan got some shady stuff going around with that guy. So there is a pretty high probability that we will be getting a new Sabo VA before we hit that Reverie flashback. All right, so the next people we see are Nojiko and Genzo from Kokoyashi Village. And they are worried about the rising water. I mean, Nojiko runs off to see how the other villagers are doing. So the water is affecting even them all the way in the East Blue. And the next people we see after them are Dalton and Kureha, who arguably should be looking pretty good during this whole thing, right? They have those giant drum island mountaintops. So if push comes to shove, if the water does end up rising, they would be pretty well off compared to most nations. But yeah, Kureha is always an interesting character to bring up here because she knows a little bit about the Will of D. She's actually the first character in the series that has mentioned the Will of D. So personally, I am still waiting for the day when Oda reveals to us what Dr. Kureha knows and even who is she? Because right now, there are a lot of theories floating out there that Dr. Kureha used to be an infamous pirate. And I would believe it, man. I would believe it. You know how all these old heads come back as legendary pirates? I think Dr. Kureha wouldn't be any different. The next people we see are Baroque works, and it's cool seeing them, right? We see Miss Golden Week, we see Miss Valentine, and I think Miss All Sunday, if I recall correctly. So I don't have it pulled up in front of me. But yeah, we see them. They're at the new Spider Cafe, and I'm actually surprised they're living a peaceful life. I thought they would most likely go back to Cross Guild and follow Crocodile, but no. They're actually just chilling, making some tea, making some coffee. Love to see it. And now the last person we see here is Morgans. Morgans, Vivi, and Walpole. They're still flying around. We have no idea where they're going yet. I still think there is a good chance they're coming here to Agate Island or maybe even Elbaf. But yes, Morgans is going ballistic over this news. Morgans is a pretty fun character to predict the future of because I'm wondering how he's going to capitalize on this news. Because 2 chapters ago, Morgans was angry that Vegapunk was doing this broadcast because it would put newspapers out of business. So now I'm wondering how Morgans is going to capitalize on this broadcast. Will he start doing documentaries, or maybe will he start doing theories on what the Ancient Kingdom was, or where it's at, or, you know, what's going on with all the different islands? I feel like that'd be pretty cool, you know, like Morgans just flying around, doing little news reportings island by island. I think that'd be pretty cool, and it would be a good way to capitalize on Vegapunk's message and turn all of this into a profit. So yeah, those are all the reactions we get in this chapter. And funny enough, I went through the One Piece story arc wiki because, you know, I just want to make sure I'm thorough. And we've gotten a majority of characters' reactions in this final saga here on Agate Island thus far, right? Like, we've seen so many characters in the past 5 chapters. It is ridiculous. And next chapter, I think we're going to get even more reactions. And we're going to get reactions from the few characters we have not seen yet. Like, for example, some characters that could make an appearance in the final or next to final reaction chapter would be the Supernova, Dodon, Zeph. We still haven't seen nothing about Zeph. We could see Smoker, maybe even some more of the Grand Fleet, Rayleigh, or maybe even some of the other Yonkos like Buggy and Cross Guild, Shanks and his crew, or Blackbeard. Because when it comes to Blackbeard, we've only seen the Hachinosu reactions. We don't know where Blackbeard is. You know, we don't know if he's even listening in right now. But yeah, I think those are the reactions we could get next chapter or the chapter afterwards. And you could say, Sai, those are a lot of people to visit. But let me tell you, in this chapter alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dude, we had 8 different islands making an appearance here. I think I miscounted. It might even be 9. And then the chapter before that, we had 8, and then we had another 8. Like, yo, we are visiting every corner of the world right now. Oda is taking us on the Dragon Ball Grand Tour, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get those people in the next coming weeks. But yeah, with that being said, let me know what you thought about this chapter. What do you think about the Gorosei? What do you think about Reaction Piece? Are you a fan of it? Do you hate it? Because I have seen people being very divided on this. And if you do like it, who are your favorite reactions coming off of this chapter? Personally, mine would probably be, I'd say Baroque Works. I'm a big fan of Baroque Works. Even Tomorrow Black, I think they're kind of tied for first place right there. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. My name is Sai, and I'm signing out. Peace.